Check.
A new delivery from the famous Assassins of Ubisoft has arrived to the current generation of consoles. After the problems present in Assassin's Creed Unity, the developers are willing to demonstrate that their popular saga of open world has the potential to shine on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. But the question is there something new that Assassin's Creed Syndicate can offer to us?
I'll extend your regards to Ferris.
Chat later, George. We've a train to catch.
Jacob!
The story takes us to the city of London in 1868 during the Industrial Revolution. For the first time, we can control two main characters, the Fry twins, a pair of assassins who are looking for the fragments of the Fruit of Eden that are in the hands of the Templars and prevent they control the world with the power of those fragments, and at the same time release the city of London from the street gang's control, the Templars, and their terrible leader, Starrick.
Bloody Drood! I'll never finish.
During the adventure, we will find a variety of characters that will support the main ones. Some of them are really eccentric and interesting. Sometimes we will find historical characters that will give more context to the story. People like Charles Darwin, Charles Dickens, and Alexander Graham Bell, just to mention a few.
Linguist, inventor, and technical expert.
The biggest problem with the story is that compared with the previous deliveries is not that original. The protagonists are like the typical clichés and cannot really catch the player's attention.
Metal, I'm shocked.
The story is not bad, but if you have played the previous deliveries, it feels like more of the same thing. The eternal fight between assassins and Templars to control the Fruit of Eden is no longer interesting. The gameplay of the series has not changed much in the last deliveries, and Syndicate is not the exception. We still have the characteristic movements of the franchise, like the system of parkour, which now has been refined by adding a few buttons to go up and down on buildings to make it as simple as possible. The fight remains the same as always. You cannot feel the fluency or fun. The opposite, most of the time feels boring, awkward, and without depth, making the combat sequence become tedious after the first hours. Stealth scenes have the same problem as the rest of the gameplay. The awkward movements of your character will make you get detected more than in one occasion. In this title, we have a special mode focused on stealth. Just by pressing a button, your character will walk bent over, making it harder for your enemies to detect you. This feature is a good idea, but it stands out because the lack of agility from the Assassin's twins, and not for being a brilliant implemented element. The most original mechanic is certainly a hook that will allow you to move faster through the city, making easier the exploration. And also we have the fairly limited system of fast travel that will depend on where the train is and the function it can do. Graphics is where Ubisoft deserved the claps. If there is something that always surprises us in each game of the series, is the meticulous reconstruction of the cities of the period. In this case, the city of London in the middle of the Industrial Revolution that looks beautiful. The detail in the buildings is admirable, and the most representative buildings are faithful to the original version in the real world. From the most isolated areas up to the Big Ben. The customs also have been taken to a good level of detail. Unfortunately, we cannot say the same about the facial character models, because in certain moments we could appreciate closer that they look plastic and lack in detail. Nothing that looks bad, but you can notice the difference if you compare, for example, the facial modeling of the characters during the cinemas when it's not used the same game engine of our version, and they look pretty good.
Fall like a cocker spaniel.
Music had just been used to make the atmosphere. It's a good soundtrack that transports us to the time and accompany the fights we have around the city. The voice acting feels not really credible and boring in some moments. In the case of the twins, the voice mixes well with their personality, but nothing that stands out. The main villain is probably the one that has the most overplayed voice in the entire cast. You cannot take seriously what he says because it seems that even he done it.
Years, and we'll run 1,000 more.
Something really different happened in the case of the historical characters that appear in the plot, such as the voice of Charles Darwin,
Well, how shall we proceed?
which make these characters fun and interesting, adding a touch of eccentricity with these important minds in the human history.
Sounds very wise. Good luck, my boy.
The arrival of Assassin's Creed to the current generation was something quite due to the problems that had Assassin's Creed Unity. However, Syndicate came to correct many of these problems. It has quality and certainly is a game that every single fan of the franchise need, but for those ones that are not really fans or those who are looking for something new and fresh, they will not find it here. It feels more like the same in all aspects. And maybe it is time for the Assassins to let them rest for a while so they can come back reload and they captivate gamers again with new mechanics and fresh stories. Check out the link to the full guide and review in the video description for all the details you want to know about Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Like this video, share, subscribe, visit crossover.com.mx, follow us in social networks, and of course, keep playing, mate!
Oh, we seem to have made an unscheduled stop.